battle. Now today's video I will be discussing the vice captain to Monkey D. Luffy, Rona Zoro, one of the worst generation members, one of two right hand mans who are part of the worst generations, and is often debated to be one of the top dogs in the worst generation. Whenever I do a strongest worst generation video, it's usually people say that Zoro is the second or third strongest worst generation member. I kind of see it kind of crazy because he's the right hand man to another worst generation member, so like he's already that high. I feel like end of story Zoro will definitely be probably the second, third, fourth strongest worst generation member because the Pirate King's crew is definitely elite. But right now I feel like the other worst generation members will probably get more shine, and then that leads to another character, the other right hand man, and who's also part of the worst generation members, Killer. Yes, the guy whose name is very spooky. He's the vice captain to Eustace Kid. We saw Eustace Kid and Luffy have some moments of spat during the Saba Odi Shabundi arc, and Eustace Kid has been focusing on Luffy pretty much his whole time. He feels like Luffy is leading the worst generation members, and he wants that crown of being the leader of the generation because he wants to become the Pirate King. When people laughed at his dream, he pretty much would take them out. But yeah, Killer is the right hand man. We don't really know a lot about Killer, but there's some moments where it kind of showcases that, Killer, there's some things that he's hiding, that Oda, the creator of One Piece, is hiding. And I feel like in the community of One Piece, Killer is often forgotten, especially in the worst generation. People say he's one of the weakest worst generations, but I feel like there's a reason why he's one of two right hand mans in the worst generation members. There's definitely some foreshadowing to some crazy stuff in the future. Now, when it comes to Luffy, the captain of Zoro, at the end of the story, he's definitely going to become the Pirate King. I think there's no doubt with that. And Killer's captain, Eustace Kid, will most likely be around Yonko level, close to Luffy, I think personally, but Luffy will be above him. And honestly, in my opinion, when they do battle, because I believe there's a foreshadowing battle between Eustace Kid and Luffy. I think they're towards the end of the story, not the actual end of the story, but like when it's nearing the end of the story, I think Luffy and Kid will have a battle. I see it happening before the Blackbeard battle, and honestly, I feel like their crews will actually interact in this battle. It might be even an arc or some sort, a side arc, but I feel like Killer and Zoro, it all goes back to them. Looking at other crews, we see the right hand man is relatively the strongest crew member, close to the captain, but the captain always has an edge. And we've seen this when it comes to Yonko level pirates. They're incredibly powerful. They're nearly like, it's debatable when it comes to the right hand mans and admirals. People debate that right hand mans are actually stronger than admirals. I've seen this when it comes to Marco and especially Ben Beckman. Ben Beckman, ever since that Kizaru moment, people have debated that Ben Beckman is stronger than Kizaru and Admiral. So we've seen other characters. We know Big Mom's right hand man. I'm not going to spoil anime. I'm not going to spoil anime onlys. But Yonko commanders in general are very powerful characters. We've seen this in Whitebeard's crew. Jozu is fighting an admiral. So top Yonko commander characters are fighting admirals. So it just showcases that it's going to be an amazing battle between other top Yonko commanders fighting each other. That's going to be insane. Now, something that you guys might think is very minimal, not really that big, is as a character known as Mad Monk. Now, Mad Monk is actually really famous in the One Piece community. Share the Arujo. I'll tell you right now, Arujo has become a fan favorite. People have been already adding the D to his name. People are telling he's going to become the Pirate King. Arujo has risen up to that buggy status. But I'll tell you right now, Arujo was, when he first saw him, he was battling Killer in the Saba Odi arc, Shabundi arc, I don't know what you pronounce it. And I feel like Oda, the creator of One Piece, did that for a purpose, because later on we see Arujo comment that, whoa, this guy Zoro, he's an underling? I wonder how crazy the captain is. So it just showcases that these two characters, Zoro and Killer, are definitely special, because Killer battling another captain and Zoro, who people think he is a captain, it just showcases how crazy these two characters are, part of the supernovas at that time, worst generation. It's crazy because I see Killer as a very level-headed character, and the fact that he was battling Arujo seems kind of level-headed, who's kind of reckless. I'm not too sure where he goes. Sometimes it changes, but those two characters don't seem like the two that would actually fight. They seem like very similar, so it was quite shocking to see them actually going at it, but it was very entertaining. Now, one of the biggest reasons why we see Zoro and Killer having a crazy battle in the future of One Piece, Zoro, the three swordsman, three sword style swordsman user, he uses sharp objects, and when you look at the other character, Killer, he uses these double like scythe bladed weapon, and it spins around, and like Honestly, they're both sharp bladed. They use blades. They both use blade type weapons, and I think there's a reason why it's gonna be that kind of fight where you can see a lot of clashing and the sound of their blades clashing. So I think that's definitely a foreshadowing of them fighting and having a crazy battle. And they're both right hand man, so the blades, it definitely helps in the case of them battling. Another thing that's very interesting amongst the two characters is when it comes to the worst generation, I believe that Zoro and Killer are the only characters that don't actually have a fruit. Yes, every other worst generation has a fruit, but these two characters are just solely based on their skill and what they use, their objects they use, their blades. So I definitely feel like that's another foreshadowing of them actually having a future battle. I expect a mainly hockey orientated battle and a lot of technique wise, seeing different sword style, seeing different blade attacks, and it's going to be very entertaining because seeing two dudes who don't even have a fruit just go at it, straight, I'm not gonna say straight fist because these guys use weapons, but straight weapons on these dudes. And I've been saying this for a long time. I'm not too sure if Zoro has something hidden behind that eye that's been closed up ever since the time skip. But if he does release his eye power, I wouldn't be surprised if he releases it against Killer. Now, people are saying he's going to release it in Wano when he fights the Shogun, the strongest samurai in Wano. There's also a good case there. I feel like Zoro has to go full power, but I wouldn't be surprised if Zoro goes full power and the eye is not actually involved. The eye is something that it's like a last cause where it's actually very dangerous to use, and he's going to use it maybe in the future after he goes full power. That's just something that I thought and running in my mind, though I could be wrong. But I think the Killer fight, him unveiling the eye and seeing something very unexpected, would be very cool. Now, if Zoro does release that hidden eye power, what would Killer actually release? And I think the thing that Killer will actually release is the mask. We haven't seen Killer's face in all that detail. Now, we did see a picture of Killer when he was a kid, and yes, it showed half his face, but we didn't see his eyes. His hair was covering his eyes. So Killer, the long-haired supernova or former supernova, now worst generation member, I think his mask might get damaged in the Zoro battle, where we might see something crazy, like when he takes his mask off, the true personality of Killer. His name is Killer for a reason. I think it was Massacre of Slaughter. I'm not too sure his moniker, but it's something deadly, and I think that once the mask comes off, Killer is a different character. It might be some similarities to Hakuba. I'm not too entirely sure. It might be connected in some way. I'm not even too sure about that. But I think that once the mask comes off, Killer is going to go berserk, and it's going to be the highlight of the battle. Zoro unleashing the eye and Killer showing his face, the mask. I'm just going to tell you guys right now, this battle, a lot of people are not talking about it, and this is probably my first video on Killer in general, but I'm so excited to see these two right-hand mans, two powerful captains going at it. The last point I want to make revolves around Sanji. Now, Sanji, probably think, why are you mentioning Sanji in a Zoro video? Are you a Sanji tard? Now, honestly, I gotta tell you guys right now, Sanji's not even in my top 10 favorite characters. Actually, I have Zoro in my top 10 favorite characters, so I'm not a Sanji tard, but I still like Sanji as a character, so I'm not biased when it comes to this kind of stuff, but I do think that Zoro and Sanji is a battle where, me personally, I've been wanting to see a battle of that since the beginning of One Piece, since Sanji was revealed. These guys have been going at it for years, over 10 years. It's been probably longer than, way longer than that, and honestly, I don't think there might be a chance that we don't get a Zoro versus Sanji battle. If we do get in the future, I think it would be very cool, a very crazy battle between them. We have seen some stuff in the movies, but that's not canon. It's not really canon. But the closest thing we probably will get to that is Killer versus Zoro, because Killer is a very reasonable guy. He's the guy who's probably the brains of the Kid Pirates. We see him always talking about historic things like the Ox Bell, and he's the one who stopped the Alliance from going array when it comes to Scratchman of Pooh, Basil Hawkins. Killer's a very intelligent character, and his fighting style, when we've seen Killer's fighting style, it's not raw power, it's more speed, agility, and it's kind of like the Sanji of weapons, if you think about it. If Sanji used weapons, I think it would be actually similar to Killer, because the way Killer uses speed and agility. So if we don't get a Zoro versus Sanji battle, a battle of craziness like there, I think this Killer and Zoro is gonna be the closest battle to it, and we might see some connections. Maybe Sanji might be in reference in a dialogue in the actual battle. So I think that personally, the Zoro Killer battle might be one of the greatest battles in the One Piece story that nobody sees coming. Yes, I said it. Nobody will see this coming. Shout out to the eye. Shout out to the mask. Now tell me your thoughts in the comment section. What do you think about Zoro and Killer having a crazy battle where powers are being unleashed in a battle for their captains who both are trying to become the Pirate King? Do you think this battle will happen, or do you think that Eustace Kid is not even stronger than Zoro? Luffy and Zoro are way stronger than those Kid and Killer. They're not even close to their power. I've seen that many times in the comment section and I'm baffled. But tell me your thoughts in the comment section because I want to see what you guys believe. I love reading your guys' comments, and I know Worst Generation members are a fan favorite because how badass that introduction was when they were introduced. I can't do the background music.